Chapter 5 On Commercial Credit 1. Goods or commodities in the ordinary course of business pass through the following hands: 1. The foreign importer, 2. The wholesale dealer, 3. The retail dealer, 4. The customer. To the first three of these persons these goods are capital, because they import, manufacture, or buy them for the purpose of selling them again with a profit. The fourth buys them for the sake of use or enjoyment. The price the ultimate consumer pays for them must evidently be sufficient to repay the cost of all the preceding operations. If the foreign importer sells the goods he bought for ready money to the wholesale dealer, he can of course immediately import or produce a further supply of goods in the room of those he has disposed of. In a similar way the wholesale dealer sells to the retail dealer, and if he were paid in ready money, he might immediately effect further purchases from the merchant to supply the place of the goods he had sold. So also if the retail dealer were always paid in ready money by his customer, he might replace the part of the stock he had sold. And so if everybody had always ready money at command, the stream of circulation, or production, might go on uninterruptedly as fast as consumption or demand would allow. This, however, is not the case. Few or no persons have always ready money at command for what they require. Very few traders can commence with enough ready money to pay for all their purchases, and if the stream of circulation, or production, were to stop until the consumer had paid for the goods in money, it would be vastly diminished. Suppose, however, that the merchant, having confidence in the character of the wholesale dealer, agrees to sell the goods to him, but not to demand the money for them till some time afterwards. He accordingly parts with the property in the goods to the wholesale dealer exactly as if he had been paid in money, and receives in return the right to demand payment at some time after date. Now the very same circulation of goods has taken place as would have been caused by money. The only difference is that the actual payment is postponed, and for this the merchant charges a certain price. This debt may be recorded in two ways. It may be simply recorded in the trader's books, and then it is called a book debt, or else it may be embodied in a bill of exchange. But it is quite clear that the property is exactly the same, whether it is in the form of a bill or merely a book debt, though one form may have more conveniences than the other. In a similar way the wholesale dealer may sell for credit to the retail dealer, and this debt may also be recorded in two forms like the first. As in the former case, the same circulation, or production, has been caused by credit as by money. Lastly, the retail dealer may sell to his customer on credit, and this debt may also be recorded in the same two forms. In this case, as in the former ones, credit has exactly the same effect as money in circulating goods. Hence we see that credit has had the same effect in all respects as money in circulating the goods from the merchant to the consumer. We also see that the passage of the goods through these various hands has generated a debt at each transfer, and all these debts may be in existence at the same time. 2. The debt for which the merchant sold the goods to the wholesale dealer is valuable property. It may be exchanged for anything else, and the merchant can go into the market with this debt in his hand, and buy fresh goods. When he does so, the seller of the goods who takes the bill usually requires him to write his name on the back of it, and from that it is called an endorsement. The meaning of this is that if the real debtor does not pay the bill when it is due, the endorser promises to do so. If he is told of the debtor's default, immediately it occurs. If the endorsee fails to do this, the endorser is discharged. The bill may then pass through any number of hands, and effect any number of exchanges, until it is paid. Exactly like money, about 60 years ago almost the entire circulating medium of Lancashire consisted of bills of exchange, which sometimes had as many as 150 endorsements on them before they became due. 3. On the continent of Europe the merchants devised an extremely convenient plan. At many of the great commercial cities, Lyon, Antwerp, Brussels, and many others, there were regular fairs at stated intervals. The merchants, instead of making their bills payable at their own houses, where they must have kept cash to meet their bills, made them payable only at these fairs. On a certain day of the fair the merchants met and adjusted their mutual claims, and if their accounts were equal, they were of course balanced and paid by being exchanged against each other, by the principle of compensation. By this means an enormous commerce was carried on without any specie. 4. In this country traders find it more convenient to sell their bills for money, and there are two classes of traders whose business it is to buy these commercial debts. These are bill discounters and bankers. The difference between them is that bill discounters buy these debts with money, but bankers always buy them with their own credit, as will be fully explained in the next chapter. Thus we see that credit produces exactly the same circulation of commodities that money does. Credit employed to form new products. 5. The bills we have just described were created to transfer commodities which previously existed. Such credit is, therefore, manifestly limited by operations which have been made, and by the number of commercial exchanges. The number of bills created cannot exceed the number of transfers of the commodities, but they may be greatly less, because the same bill may affect many transfers of property. But since credit is, as we have seen, exchangeable property, and a substitute for money, it may be used equally with money to bring new products into existence. Suppose that the corporation of a town wants to build a market, but has not the ready cash to do so. It may be a matter of certainty that if the market were built, the stalls in it would be taken up immediately, and the rents received for them would liquidate the debt. In such a case, the corporation may issue small bonds payable at a future date, and if these were made small enough, they might be used in the payment of workmen's wages, and circulate exactly like money until the time limited for them to be paid off. In this case, as in all cases of credit, the credit is merely the present value of the future profit, and so long as the credit does not exceed this, it is sound. Thus in the production of commodities, which, by the unanimous consent of all economists, includes both their formation and their transfer, credit performs exactly the same functions as money. So far, therefore, as production goes, credit is in all respects equivalent to money, money being the accumulation of past profits, and credit the anticipation of future profits. This must suffice here for the general outline of credit. To go deeper into the subject would be too abstruse for an elementary work like the present.